legal battle between the government and social media platforms. We are joined by the Union Minister for Law and Justice, Communications, Electronics and Information Technology, who's also a parliamentarian in Patna, and he's joining us live from Bihar this evening. Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, good evening and thank you for speaking to Republic TV. Mr. Prasad, you have said today that our laws are important. India shall not compromise on its digital sovereignty. That's been your stated position on this debate. Ever since the NDA came to power, that's been your stated position. When asked about the ongoing tussle with Twitter on the implementation of IT rules, now, how far is your government willing to go to protect digital sovereignty, Mr. Prasad?
First of all, you must understand, and I should explain for the sake of the viewers, what we are seeking. All these social media platforms, be it Twitter, be it Facebook, be it LinkedIn or WhatsApp, or many others, including Indians like Cool, are having a good business in India. Having 100 crore plus users, they are earning good revenue, they are earning good money, they have also empowered ordinary Indians. And I must acknowledge today on Republic TV, the government of Narendra Modi acknowledges the right of ordinary Indians to ask questions, criticize the government, including the Prime Minister, me and anyone else. That's what social media has done. The issue is not of use of social media. The issue is one of abuse and misuse of social media. What should I do if a distraught mother approaches me as an IT minister? The ex-lover of her young daughter is pushing all their intimate photographs on the social media and making it viral. What should I tell when editor, judges, many others are victimized by trolls, by selected motivated few? What should I say when a young businessman trying to establish a new business is crushed by a systematic campaign by his competitors and rivals on social media? These are larger issues. Therefore, we have made a very simple request. Have a grievance officer in India who can dispose of grievance within 15 days. Have a compliance officer in India with an address in India who can disclose what is the nature of compliance. And have an officer for contact with the various government agency nodal officer. Are we asking for the moon? What they say? No, we will earn good money, we'll do business here, but any complaint, go to America. Address not known. This is plainly unacceptable. And when you ask me the question, what do you mean by digital sovereignty? My take is straight and simple. Earn good money in India, do business in India, welcome to earn revenue in India, but you will have to follow the rules of India, the laws of India, and the Constitution of India. That is the straight and simple meaning of digital sovereignty of India.
Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, I was hoping to come to this question towards the end of our interview, but let me ask you straight up, because you mentioned what would your answer be when people ask you these questions. Recently, in the last 2 or 3 days, some of your colleagues in the Union Ministry as well have tweeted about an incident of rape and gang rape, videos being circulated on social media. Sir, here at Republic TV, we were reporting about it a few days back, and we said if these rules are in place, if these regulations are adhered by, it wouldn't have been the case, isn't it? It's required.
I totally agree with you. Why should we need to have a rule in the first place? It is the obligation, it is the duty of these social media companies to become a little restrained about it. That is a larger issue. Do they obey the rules and regulations of America or not? Of England or not? Of many countries like Australia or not? Canada or not? Now, let me give you further a specific example. Twitter banned all the accounts of those who have vandalized the American Congress Capitol Hill, including of ex-President Trump. Maybe they have a case. But when it comes to India, in the wake of farmers' agitation, vandals, terrorist supporters rampage the Red Fort, the pride of India, with the Prime Minister unfurl the national flag on 15th of August, with naked sword in their hand, you say it is freedom of speech? Is it fair or is it double standard? You show a part of Ladakh as a map of China, and we have to protest. After 10 days, you remove it. In this COVID, when the Singapore variant is mentioned, and immediately Singapore government protests, you remove that in an hour from your social media. But Indian variant, Modi variant, is being bandied about on social media by those opposed to the Modi government. And you take 4 or 5 days to remove it in spite of the order. Why this double standard?
Yeah.
That is the moot question. I repeat, why this double standard? Work in India, but follow the laws, the constitution and sensitivity of India. That's all I'm saying. And again I repeat, use of social media, no complaint. Let them ask question, let them criticize, but have a forum for grievance redressal in the case of abuse and misuse of social media.
Yeah. You know, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, we've been speaking to different social media intermediaries, and you call them, I think you call them significant social media intermediaries with over 5 million user base. And one of them happens to be Ku. The founder of Ku was live on Republic TV a few days back. In fact, I spoke to him. Now, it's a very simple question and answer sort of a format you've given them. You've asked them for details of the grievance officers. You asked them for simple details of names and addresses. Now, let's be honest about it, Mr. Prasad. Is it turning out to be an ego battle? Because what we hear through our reporters is that most of the significant social media intermediaries have adhered to this, except for one. Is that true? And if yes, is it turning out to be an ego war for them?
First of all, let me make it very clear to you. There is no ego battle at all. Emphatically, categorically on Republic TV. But since you have talked of ego, let me explain the background. There is a judgment of Supreme Court of 2018, Pranjula case. Supreme Court said, please do something for this violation of privacy, pornography, promotion of that, dignity of woman. Then there is a judgment of September 19 of the Supreme Court in case of Facebook itself, where the Supreme Court said, origin of a very vicious message already in public domain, leading to violence, mayhem, mob lynching, riot, etc., terrorism, etc., that must be known. 2 Supreme Court judgments, I am not saying of the High Court judgment. There was a debate on the fake news in the Parliament in August 2018. All the parliamentarians extracted a promise from me there is a need for a guideline to check all this, pornography. Venkaiah Naidu, the Vice President of India, Honorable, constituted a committee of Parliament to consider the issue of child pornography. They have recommended. Therefore, it has come suddenly out of the blue. We had the widest consultation possible. Hundreds and hundreds of comments came, counter comments came, including with stakeholder, and thereafter it has been drafted and finalized. Therefore, a proper consultation process, including parliamentary accountability and judicial directions have been there. No ego battle. But as regard the other part is concerned, yes, you are right. I'm in my constituency, Patna. I had to come to oversee the COVID work and be with my people who have elected me. But I have been told that all others have complied except Twitter. They appointed a lawyer in Bengaluru as their grievance officer, nodal officer and compliance officer. We had to gently tell them, read the rule. The rule is very clear. He has to be an employee of your company who knows the system of the company. You can appoint an interim measure, then go for a proper appointment one. But let me ask a counter question to you, and let this message of mine go to them. Does appointment of these 3 officers require a UPSC selection like for IAS or IPS? Come on, what we are talking about? In COVID, so many officers have been appointed in Maharashtra, in Delhi, in Government of India, in so many places to beef up the arrangements of not. You had 3 months of time. 25th of February, the guideline was announced by me in a press conference. When it came into a gazette, We gave them 3 months' time to set up the arrangement. They have to follow the rule. I am very clear about it.
Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, I know you don't have control over what the police does, but the opposition leaders have been alleging intimidation, which Twitter has repeated in its statement from the headquarters. How do you respond to this intimidation claim by the opposition?
First of all, if I can use a Hindi expression which I have used on some other channels too, कुछ लोग ट्विटर से अपनी राजनीति करते हैं और अब वो ट्विटर की राजनीति कर रहे हैं. Okay? There are leaders who do their politics only on platforms like Twitter. Now they are doing the politics of Twitter. The Delhi police has already explained the entire position. Let me give a very simple logic as the Law Minister of India and a senior lawyer. The penal law of India is very clear. If there is a complaint of an offense, then everyone, individual or associations, who are in the know of something are legally under an obligation to help the police in the investigation. That is the law of the land. What in the instant case was sought to be done? The police issued them a summons. They said, no, we are not interested. Go to America. Then police went to the office. Please receive it. If you have some material in the possession of Twitter, please help us assist in the investigation. Is it wrong? I'm asking a question. Again, I repeat, do business in India, but follow the laws of India, Constitution of India. That is what I mean by digital sovereignty.
Couple of last questions.
Double standard of these private profit-making company will not do. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was saying, Mr. Prasad, that WhatsApp has said requiring messaging apps to trace chats is the equivalent of asking us to keep a fingerprint of every single message sent, quote unquote. So in that case, aren't you doing exactly what you stopped WhatsApp from doing in its privacy policy? You're an advocate first, you're a very senior lawyer. On the freedom of speech and expression argument, how do you respond to this?
First of all, let me address this issue of privacy. We respect and recognize the right of privacy. I was the first as a Union Minister to address and welcome it when the judgment of Supreme Court came. Privacy is now a part of our fundamental right. But the Supreme Court in the said judgment itself said that terrorist does not have a right of privacy. A corrupt or a criminal does not have a right of privacy. Otherwise, any investigation will be stalled. Sorry, I am protected by a right of privacy. Secondly, for the sake of your viewers, since you invoked my understanding of law as a lawyer, let me put a issue for debate. What you eat is your personal choice. But if you go to a restaurant, the bill is digital. They know what you wanted to eat. Where you want to travel is your personal choice. But if you are coming to Delhi from Mumbai, if you come by plane, the ticket is digital. When you go for a frisking at the airport, your photograph is embedded that you travel on this day. Then either you cycle from Mumbai to Delhi or decide don't to travel. Let us understand what privacy is. Privacy means the core of individual identity. Your matrimonial record, your sexual preferences, your health record, your medical record, your property tax record, and most important, the right of your child, inherent right to protect. That is what is meant by privacy. Here, what we are seeking from WhatsApp, again, ordinary users of India who are using WhatsApp have nothing to fear. Young people continue to give messages to your girlfriend or girlfriend to your boyfriend also, is the IT minister saying. Doctors to patient, lawyers to clients, journalists to their source. No problem. What we are seeking is very simple. Please understand.
Yeah.
In case of any WhatsApp message, which has already gone viral, leads to violence, crime against sovereignty of India, integrity of India, riots on a massive scale, or compromising the dignity of a woman, showing her nude photograph, or sexual violence with a child. Only and only in these cases, you will have to reveal who is the origin of this nuisance, who started it. That's all. We are not seeking the message. That is already viral, mob lynching and others. You have to disclose who started it, and if it has come from across the border, who initiated in India. That's all. And by the way, can you deny that in the riots in the wake of CA in Delhi, lots of messages of WhatsApp came from across the border, which became viral and fueled the riot? Therefore, security is important, safety is important, and the rights are important. And we are not invading any right whatsoever. I repeat, no messaging on WhatsApp will be at all open. Only and only a limited case of violence against safety of India, security of India, dignity of a woman, rape, etc., or invasion of the child sexual abuse. Only in those cases, when less invasive messages are not possible, then you will give. And by the way, they are disclosing all this in America, in England, in Canada, in Australia. You will disclose everything upon being asked there, but not here. Therefore, I only want to say that all this argument of privacy invasion is a hogwash. Let the law minister, the IT minister of India, repeat on Republic TV that ordinary users of WhatsApp have nothing to fear at all. Their messages are safe, secure, continue to use. Today, WhatsApp has the biggest presence in the world in India. We respect that. Facebook has the biggest presence in the world in India. We respect that. Earn good money. But only in the case of aggravated crime, which I explained. And by the way, the message is already in public domain. People are viral, circulating and recirculating it. That ye khurafat kisne shuru ki, who started the mischief, you'll have to disclose.
You know, last question, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad. Thank you for answering that question. I think you've put it in a very, very concise way. And you know, coming back to the last point that I wanted to make to you, I think what you said made perfect sense in the times that we live in. And what has happened in the last 2 or 3 days, I want to repeat that point because there is one social media intermediary that has over 500 million users in India. And on that platform, a video of rape and gang rape has been doing the rounds for the last 2 or 3 days. And I think every Indian, and I think even a journalist would want to know who started it. And we would like to trace where it all began. Now, that said, my last question to you, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, you've said the pandemic, okay, coming to an overall digital question, you've said that the pandemic has not only laid threadbare the issue of digital divide, which you have addressed in your last question, last answer, but more importantly, it's recast our view of digital access as a critical component to an equitable society. Now, how has the government helped India overcome this challenge during the pandemic? I think now more than ever, we realize how powerful a tool digital and social media can be, isn't it?
You're asking this question to a person who is handling Digital India for the last more than 5 years? Don't you have seen the success of this?
Yeah, that's why we'd like to discuss that, yes.
To address people who are in quarantine. The bulk of messages, crores in number. What is the work from home? This whole work from home was started by me by liberalizing the entire regulatory regime into deposit of big money. Today, 80% of the IT work is happening as work from home. All this, the PM transferred nearly 18,000 crore plus during COVID to the farmers at a click of a button. Direct benefit transfer in their bank account, 2,000 rupees every 3 months. Haven't you seen all the vaccine is being taken on an app developed in India by Indians on which they are registering themselves and their numbers are being conveyed as to on this day you have to go on this facility to get the vaccine? This whole large number of contract tracing, Arogya Setu app. All again, these are many examples as to how by digital involvement you can bring relief. Ayushman Bharat, Again, the healthcare for crores of Indians is being managed digitally.
Yeah.
Therefore, Digital India's theme, and let me explain for your viewers what is Digital India. Digital India is designed to empower ordinary Indians with the power of technology, bridge the digital divide, and most important, bring in digital inclusion. Today, with 770 crore smartphone plus in India, when I see young men in the Kasbah and villages of India doing Googling, getting information, exchanging messages, learning all the messages for their empowerment, digital coaching for students, I am very happy that indeed India is changing. We have to fast track it.
You know, Mr. Prasad, I wish that would be a headline. And the irony is, the times that we live in, we never see the headlines around how far we've come as a country digitally. Always a pleasure to have you on Republic TV. Thank you for taking your time off and speaking to the viewers of Republic. Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, stay safe. And thank you for speaking to us tonight.
Can I take just half a second?
Go ahead, sir.
Can I? Hello?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Just
go
to
ahead.
reinforce what you have said.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Under the direct benefit transfer, we have linked up 37 crore bank of the poor with Aadhaar card and their mobile number, and we are sending 440 welfare schemes into their bank accounts for the last more than 5 years. We have sent 11 lakh crore, and you know how much we have saved? 1,70,000 crore from middlemen and fictitious claimant. That is Digital India, for your kind information.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad. Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste.